Welcome back to Dominate Your Day podcast. And I am thrilled today to introduce you to Robyn Brown. And Robyn is falls into that line of what you guys out there are looking for. You're difference makers and you want to make an impact. And Robyn has done that with a company that's just celebrating the 10th anniversary, right? Bold ideas. So Robyn, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, you've been on a journey and 10 years, it's time to celebrate. So, can you explain to the audience what Bold Idea is and what you do right now? And then we'll talk about how you got there.
Yeah, definitely. So, Bold Idea is a nonprofit organization here in Dallas, and we are focused on expanding access to computer science education for young students in Dallas. And we partner with the Dallas Public School District, Dallas ISD, and we deliver after school coding clubs in a lot of elementary and middle schools. So, after their last class, students go to the computer lab and they start working with volunteer mentors who are technology professionals who give their time to teach students computer science every week. And so they get this really cool tech role model they can look up to. And well, this is usually the first person they would have met who has a software engineer career or someone who works in technology, someone they can really look up to.
So, how old are these kids? Are they like elementary school? Are they, what grades are they usually when you all work with them?
Well, we serve students in grades 3rd through 12th, but I'll tell you about 70% of them are in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So we start pretty
Wow.
young. And believe it or not, in 2025, it is so accessible for younger students to learn computer science and coding. We use programs like Scratch or Python, and they're very beginner friendly. And students learn by making projects. So it could be an animation, a video game, a website, just something they can get really excited about and share with their friends.
So, they actually learn how to code it and then build it.
Yes.
Is that, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that is
We're all
amazing.
about learning by doing. So they're learning to
Hmm.
code, and day one they just start with a project, and by making that project they're learning to code by applying those skills right away. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm a curious person. So, how did you start this company? Because you weren't in the technology space when you were in college, right? That wasn't an area that you focus on. So, how did this happen?
Yeah. Well, this mission is really personal to me. It means a lot to me. Growing up, I was always a kid who was excited about technology and computers. I grew up in the mid to late 90s when I was in middle and high school, and we were building websites just about things we were excited about. I had several electives in technology when I was in high school, but I never really knew what to do with that interest in tech. Um, or what a future in technology might look like. My parents didn't go to college, so I didn't really know that was an option for me or what a pathway could look like. After high school, I went to a community college and talked to a counselor. And I told her I wanted to do something around computers or databases. I'd heard that word and I thought it might be lucrative. And she
Mhm.
said, looking at your math scores, I don't think you'd be very good at this or very successful.
Mm.
And I didn't really have any adult support or mentors who could point me in a different direction. So I let her feedback, took that to heart, and I ended up getting a degree in journalism and public
Mm.
relations, which looking back, I don't have any regrets. It taught me how to write and communicate very well. After
Mm.
college, I ended up in a public relations role and supported companies in the tech industry like Microsoft, Dell, and several energy software companies. So I got to write about, cloud computing and really exciting technologies that were on the horizon and work alongside engineers. So that was really fulfilling for me. But I'd always wondered, looking back, if I'd had the support at that age, Would I
Mm,
have pursued computer science, and what would my career look like today if I'd had that kind of support? So I never wanted any other student to go through what I did. So mentoring is very personal to me. It's
mm.
something I'm very passionate about, bringing adult support to youth and kind of guiding them and showing them, what those pathways could look like for them if they've got an interest, or maybe they don't even know yet that technology could be an interest and a career path for them. So,
Robin, I'm thinking about, we're in Texas and several companies have had layoffs recently. Several people are deciding that it's time to change their careers before a layoff or even not even in a layoff. And then there's times when people aren't sure of their mission, but you said you knew your mission. How did you know your mission so early and how did you create this, or was it just evolving with you that you had this burning desire to do something more in tech and mentor? So how did you put all this together?
it
Um,
was about 2014, and I was working alongside a group of developers and software engineers. And they were telling me they got into their role because they were passionate about coding and building technology. But then after a while, it just became a paycheck. And they thought if I shared that knowledge that I've built with younger students, maybe I'd get excited and I'd feel that energy and passion again. And I thought, what you're describing is mentoring. I know what that is. And I had not seen anyone approach computer science education through the lens of mentoring before. So, without thinking of building a nonprofit, I just started training groups of software engineers and developers how to become mentors and work with younger students. I'd been writing about what their work was, so I knew their language, and I knew how to help them translate what they did every day to a younger audience, maybe a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old. And that community kept growing over, 1 or 2 years of mentors who were trained in technology education. And then about 10 years ago, I got a call from AT&T, their corporate headquarters, and they said, "We heard what you've been doing." I had taken that group of trained mentors and we just started teaching web development workshops for middle school girls. We did that for about a year. And we got a class at
mm.
UT Dallas. We got a classroom there, and we're just opening that up to students and doing workshops. AT&T heard about it and they said, "We want to help you." Yeah.
Wow.
It was really hard to believe at first, but once I got over the shock, we started working together with them and planning a summer camp. It was 2015, and we did a camp where we taught web development to about 25 girls in middle school, and I trained a group of AT&T employees how to mentor those girls in website
Oh,
development. So that really birthed our partnership model, where we would bring in a corporate partner, train their technology employees to mentor, and then find a community partner like a school or a youth organization, and bring that kind of learning to those students. So,
wow. So all this time there was this burning mission inside of you to mentor and to help.
mhm.
Were you helping the 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old Robin back then? Were you kind of that was something you needed that you didn't get as a child or even in junior high? And you were creating that for her.
Yeah, they say you build what you always wished you'd had. And that's so true
Yeah.
for me. And we've seen so many girls and boys over the past 10 years who have gone down that path. I think of one girl, Zion, who we met that first year when she was 10 years old. And, she was excited to learn technology and she had an idea, a bold idea. She wanted to make a mobile app about bully prevention. We said, "All right, we're going to
Really?
help you build it." So we gave her the mentors. She ended up building the mobile app and presented it at our demo day event to an audience. Today, she's a sophomore at SMU studying computer science.
Oh, that gives me chill bumps.
Yes.
Is that not the
It's
coolest? Wow.
amazing. So she was just like me at 10. She just was young, had an interest, and then she built that confidence and she kept at it. And we gave her the mentors and skill development to pursue it. And she's doing it.
I love that story that so you followed her all the way through. Now she's 20
Yeah.
or 19, whatever. Wow. So tell us, what is it that you kind of said when you saw this coming together, the AT&T partnership, the camp, all of a sudden, did you just say, okay, it's time to lay down my job and start a nonprofit? Or were you still running the nonprofit kind of on the side while you were still doing managing your day job?
It was definitely a transition. After we did this camp with AT&T, we saw these girls for a week and they learned a lot and they were excited. But then I started to wonder, we need to see students weekly and ongoing so we know they're actually learning and that we're supporting them down that path to a career in technology. So we need to have an after school program or something consistent. So that's
Hmm.
really going to require my full attention. And I had a co-founder at the time. He actually took the leap too and left his full-time software engineering job. So the two of us, kind of stepped into this naively, I admit. But then you kind of learn by doing. And we had some really amazing mentors there at the beginning who coached us on how to develop a really impactful program, how to develop this nonprofit organization. And yeah, today we have 5 employees and, we're functioning.
10 years
Yeah,
in.
it's been great.
That's amazing. Well, see, I'm talking to that person out there who's thinking about changing,
Yeah.
careers or changing the position, and they have this burning passion inside. And so, what would your advice be to them? Somebody that, like you, they're kind of a difference maker and they want to make an impact and want to leave a legacy. What helped you kind of just take that leap?
I think knowing that we had a community, that I wasn't going to go out and do this on my own. That I
Hmm.
had other founders alongside me who were going to take different components of this startup organization and help me build it. That I had mentors who were going to show me the next steps. That I had this pilot program that we had been testing before we decided to actually take the step forward and create a nonprofit out of it. There's a lot of things I would have done differently if I could go back 10 years. And I think one of them is do a little research and see if there's similar programs out there, if there's someone I could team up with initially, like a youth
Hmm.
organization or a school, and kind of bring the program to them. A lot of times you've got a lot of passion for a cause, but it doesn't mean it has to be a fully functioning nonprofit organization. Um,
Hmm.
so I think we could have done a lot of that work at the beginning. But it was very clear when we started doing this program that there was a need and there was a gap that needed to be filled. And today we've realized that we are the only out of school time provider of computer science education in the district. And a lot of
Wow.
times this is the only computer science that these elementary and middle school students are getting at all.
And are they mostly in areas of not as much wealth, so that they don't get to experience classes like this if they were in a different area or a different part of the town? Is that what you're saying? Is
Right,
that kind of what
yeah.
I'm?
They're in under-resourced communities, under-resourced schools. There's
Mhm.
a strong desire from the school administration to have programs like this, but they just lack budget for qualified teachers, for courses, for other programs. So we're really removing those barriers. There might be programs like iCode that are in North Dallas, but they're far away, they're expensive.
Mhm.
So our programs are free for students and they don't have to go anywhere. It's in their school building. Yeah.
It's amazing. So this model was your brainchild, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. When you look at that, I'm looking at your Clifton strengths. You have empathy, developer, learner, input. and responsibility, positivity. So I can see that how I can see some of this in your story, the learner for sure, and the developer. How did you learn to mentor? Where did that come from?
I'm pulling a lot of those empathy strengths, putting myself in the position of the student that I'm working with one on one or in a group setting, really understanding, what are their needs, what are their desires, what fires them up, and understanding that. It's also really important to have that empathy when you're doing grassroots community building. You're tapping
Mm,
into what pulls the heartstrings of the volunteers and the other people who are joining this effort, and getting them involved. They're all so passionate about our mission and computer science education, bringing programs like this to under resourced students. Um, Developer really explains why I created a mentoring program. I see the
mm,
potential in the students, I see the potential in all of our stakeholders in bringing this program to life, and where our students could be, you know.
mm. And you had mentored, you had worked with the Girl Scouts, right? You had mentored there. Was that part of an early ground for you to there was something early in your childhood or in your early career that brought you into that mentoring role when you probably didn't even realize it. They've been preparing you for something like
You're
this.
right. Yeah, I'm a grown-up Girl Scout. I spent, kindergarten through 12th grade as a Girl Scout, so it really fed me. And then after I graduated from high school, I started volunteering as a Girl Scout leader with a group of middle
Mhm,
school and then high school girls. And to me, being a Girl Scout leader was just mentoring. It was being that
mhm,
adult that I wished I'd had when I was their age, who showed me that there was a world bigger than middle school or high school. We would, go on college tours, something I had never experienced. We went on camping trips. We would sometimes just sit at a coffee shop and talk about life.
mm,
Um, I was trying to, again, be that young adult that they needed.
mm. And you talked about when you were helping the AT&T folks and when you were helping the other volunteers, teaching them how to mentor. And it's a skill that you naturally have. It's just naturally there, but it's probably not there for a lot of people. And so teaching that, what has been your biggest aha in teaching mentoring to other coders or volunteers that you found?
I think the biggest thing I've learned over the past few years is growth mindset. It can be
Hmm.
so easy to assume, we're born with a certain ability to learn or a certain skill set, but, our brains are elastic. We can continue to grow and build new pathways. And that's really something that you need when you're pursuing something challenging like computer science or math. You need that growth mindset to believe that, oh, this is challenging, but I can do it. So
So you had to change your mindset too, what that counselor told you way back when about your math scores, right?
exactly. Yeah. I can do math. I can learn math. Those are growth mindset
Mhm,
skills. And after she told me
mhm,
that, I still needed to get college algebra and statistics in my course
mhm,
load. So I buckled down and I pursued those and got the support I needed. And I learned the math skills I needed. And today I'm doing accounting as a organization
it's a fun
leader.
thing.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's your learner and your input,
Mhm.
right? You're using those. So, how do you help these kids stay ahead? Like, probably 10 years ago when you were working on this, we didn't know how big AI was gonna
Right.
be in the last 2 years, right? What do you think's coming? What do you see coming that you want them to be ready for? And as they learn how to
Mhm.
code and how to be computer scientists or whatever they decide in their career.
You know, um, Steve Jobs is famous for saying that every student needs to learn to code because it teaches critical thinking. And I think
Mm,
that's so true. Like we're still trying to figure out what computer programming will look like in the future or today with AI. if AI
Mhm.
will replace coding. We don't know. There's optimistic viewpoints and really pessimistic ones. But what we do know is that we will always need creative problem solvers and
Mm,
critical thinkers in these
mhm,
professions. So we may be teaching Python right now, but in 10 years when they graduate, it could be a different language. It could be, a different program that is doing the Python coding. But we need those critical thinkers.
mm.
So,
I love that perspective of
yeah.
it, and just looking at it as critical thinking. And when you look at what you're doing here in Dallas and how y'all are the only organization doing this for underprivileged or under-resourced kids, and you didn't really have a model, you just kinda created it. What do you see next? What is the gap that you're trying to fill next in this market, in this particular city that maybe you've seen other places or you haven't seen anywhere, but you see an opportunity?
Yeah. We've had a lot of success with our younger students in elementary school. What I'm excited about building with Bold Idea is that pathway from elementary to middle to high school. So they're getting that mentoring and skill development all the way through their K through 12 school years and even the support they need in college. Like we've had a number of alumni from Bold Idea who are reaching out to us proactively saying, all right, I made it. I need
Yay.
internships now and I need some project experience. Who's going to help me with my resume? So there's so many levels of support that they need that's going to look different at each age. And we want to
Mhm.
be there for our students. And that could just mean partnering with other organizations. It could just mean expanding what we're already doing. But we remain committed to the students in Dallas ISD. There is so much opportunity and need in our large urban school district that we want
Mhm.
to continue to bring this program to as many students in DISD as we can.
How many volunteers do you have helping you? Because that's a big load every you have 5 work, full-time people, but then how many volunteers do you need every day after school or in the
We
summer?
have well over 100 volunteers every year, and they're giving, they're about 28 learning sessions a year, so about 56 hours of
Wow.
mentoring time and instruction for students. So, and again, they're really doing this because they're passionate about the mission. They really build these deep relationships with students and they want to see them
Mhm.
succeed.
How fun for them to go back to that mentor and get a job someday.
Yes.
Or is that starting to happen yet? Or is it still not, they're still not quite
We're almost
well,
there, but we've had mentors say, like, I can't wait till you're my boss, because that's how good
oh,
these students
wow.
are getting. If you're in, third grade through 12th grade, look how much advanced you are before you get to college. Um, but I can't wait to see them, like one of our corporate partners, hire our students and then start joining project teams with our volunteer mentors. That's just so exciting.
You were sharing with me in the green room about an idea you have, and I loved your name, Bold Idea, because it could represent so many things, but it was bringing community other partners
Mhm.
in. Can you talk a little bit about that with, other partners that like the zoo you'd
Mhm.
mentioned and the museums and
Yeah, there's so many organizations in North Texas that provide STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math during out of school time, so outside of the school hours. And it could be any organization, the side, Bold Idea, but also Girl Scouts, Dallas After School, Girls Inc., the Perot Museum, the Arboretum. We're all providing education in STEM for students in our community. So I'm forming a STEM education coalition. I'm bringing all these organizations together around one table. First of all, so we're aware of each other. We can
yeah.
so we can share resources, best practices, and two, find opportunities to collaborate and fill the gaps in where, maybe we're on the computer science spectrum, but someone else is providing math resources. And that could be a great resource for our students too. So there's a lot of areas where we could collaborate and form an ecosystem here in North Texas.
I love how you're always looking to the next thing of how can we bring, how can we coalesce everybody? How can we help these students to be at the next level? We mentioned a little bit about your mission and you talked about your mission, but can you share what your mission is? I think, do you have a personal mission and a company mission for Bold Ideas, or is it the same?
Yeah, and my personal mission has always been around bringing groups of people together to achieve big, bold ideas that are high quality, that are creative. And I
Mm.
had that mission set before I started Bold Idea. It sort of pulled the two words Bold Idea into our organization name because that's what we were building at the time. Bold Idea is about empowering students, creating access to computer science education, and really preparing students for future technology careers.
I love what you're sharing because I think so many of us don't even know that we have a personal brand
Mhm.
and we have a mission statement. We just haven't really written it out yet. And I think to be your authentic self every day and just say, I had this even before this company was formed or this organization, this was who I am. And so I love that. I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about people finding their authentic self. And I think strengths is one tool to do that. But I think, and then being able to talk about that, because then you're really attracting, Robin, people that want to bring value and that want to make a difference and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves in one hand. And then you're creating this, I kind of think of it as continuum of care. You're taking care of these students and getting them ready for college, and then they're going to get out there, they're going to do, and it's going to keep going
Yeah,
around. I just see this opportunity to keep serving and keep serving. So bravo to you. I'm congrats on 10 years.
thank
Congrats
you.
on what we're doing. I think as founders and as entrepreneurs, we get so busy in the mire, we don't think about what we've done or
Mhm.
who your the lives you're changing. And I just want to take a moment and congratulate you as a difference maker in doing this. It's pretty exciting. As we get ready to round out and kind of close out our time, is there anything that's coming up for you, Robin, that you want to make sure that our listeners hear if they're thinking of starting something new or creating something or partnering up with someone? What would be your advice to them as you think about that, or is there something else that's coming up for you that you want to share?
I think one thing that has been on my mind recently is just managing our well being, managing my well being while I'm managing the day to day of the organization. I've got to show up every day and serve the students that we're working with. I've got to support our staff and all of our other stakeholders, but I can only do that if I'm fueling myself and taking care of myself really well. So I try to take a lot of breaks. I take my vacation days. Um, I go on walks. I have hobbies. I like to read a lot. So I try to find a balance as much as I can. And I know that's hard in the early years because you're just so excited. I was when I was starting this organization and doing that with my friends. Um, but it gets hard. It really gets hard, starting
Mhm.
something new, building an organization from the ground up. So you've got to take care of yourself while you're doing those things. And it continues
I'm
to be
so
important. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that is a big focus that I like to talk about a lot
Mhm.
is how do we manage our well-being. And there's the 5 areas of well-being, and you and I talked about them before, but it's the social, and I loved hearing that you're getting to be with your friends. That's how's that? And your
Yeah.
purpose, that you've got a purpose. And then just the financial, where everything is, and you kind of got to handle, you talked about your accounting earlier,
Yeah.
getting that math going. That was good. And then physical, you talked about walking
Mhm.
and getting out and walking. Sometimes even walking with a friend gets me a lot of energy because I get to do two things at once,
Yes.
right? And then just community, you're giving back to the community. And though when those five things hit a four or five, you're doing well, but we don't hit four or five every week because something's always off, right? So it's helping us understand which one's off and which one we need Tina, which one of our strengths are we going to help us? So with you, it was like looking at your empathy and figuring out, how do I be empathetic with myself and see what I need, right? And how do I help myself? So I love that you brought that up. And I think that sometimes there's this old vision that we just have to work really hard every day. And, and that's not true, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Hustle
yeah,
culture is not sustainable.
no, no, you wouldn't be here at 10
No.
years and all that you've accomplished and all the students. Have you kept track of all the students you've actually touched in this program? How many, the numbers, like how many people your team has touched and mentored
It's
to?
a little over 1,000 students that we've touched over the past 10 years. And
That's amazing.
there's a handful that have we've remained strong relationships with that are older or in college, and it's just meant a lot to be part of their lives that they've made room for
That
us.
is, you're just lighting fires, little fires everywhere of, people finding their a gift that they can use and they're going to be able to use throughout life. So congrats for that. Thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing your story and the impact that you're making. And I'm so glad to hear that you're taking care of your well-being and all the things, right, that come with being a founder. So congrats. And how can people reach you if they want to volunteer or give to your organization? What's the best way for them to find you?
They can find Bold Idea at bold, idea, idea.org. And there
Okay.
you can find the many ways you can support us, including donations, which we greatly appreciate. You can find us on Instagram and LinkedIn at Bold Idea Inc. INC. And I'm Robyn at boldidea.org.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Robyn. Thank you for all you're doing. We loved having you on the show
Thank
today.
you. So much fun.